And we should be recording. And thank you for joining me today. I am Huey Poplock. This is a presentation that I've done a couple of times, but I've done a lot of work this past week and try to localize it for you. And so you'll see some things maybe familiar to you as well. It's learning resources for seniors. I'm an advocate of lifelong learning, and we shouldn't stop learning. And if you read a lot of the articles, it says that seniors should be even more active and be learning new things and not setting back and not using your minds. And so that's what a lot of this is. As I said, the slideshow is available at bit.ly. I like it. Bit.ly is a shortener, and it's a fairly long address. And bit.ly, when you do that, it also keeps track, so I know how many people use it. This is what we all thought retirement was going to be. However, it's this for me. I speak a lot at groups, and Doc does the same thing. I share a lot of what I know, and I try to do it as often as I can. I have several topics that I talk about, that I speak about. Recently, I've just taken up Chromebooks, and I've started a website for Chromebooks for seniors, for people who even have trouble with Windows. It's an alternative. And I've got a website up, and I'll be sharing that address with you as well. But what I'm going to be talking about are websites and places where you can go to find resources to keep yourselves active mentally, in some cases physically, but mostly mentally, what I'm going to be talking about. Some of it's tech related, a lot of it isn't. But a lot is, because, let's face it, our lives are very involved with tech these days. One of the websites that I really like is called Tech Boomers. And it was started by a young man because he was teaching seniors, and mostly his parents, about computers. And he started with a couple of articles about websites and how to use those websites. And it's really developed to, he's got a Facebook course, a LinkedIn course, Twitter course. It's all with screen captures, and it's done without technobabble. And it's done so seniors and people who don't want to know all of the intricacies, just how to use it, what that website can do, this is a good resource. And I was going through my notes, and I did this same presentation in October, and I looked at his website from the screen capture I did in October, and I looked at it, what it is now, and it's unbelievable how many he's added. Here's some of the courses that he has, social websites, and you can see there's Ask.fm, Gmail, you may recognize some of these, LinkedIn, Match.com. Each one of those, Doc, can be a lesson in a presentation. So there's lots of fodder for you. Under entertainment, things like Audible and Hulu and Netflix. Again, how to use those websites from a non-technical, very easy way to follow and get an idea of what that website does. So if you want it, you heard of Hulu, but you don't know what it is, if you look at his description, you'll get a pretty good idea of what that website does. So you can decide, well, yeah, that might be something I want to look into more. Same thing under the shopping website. So you've got Airbnb, of course, Amazon, and Amazon Prime, and Kayak. So he's got those. Let's see. Daily Living website apps, Angie's List, which was just sold recently, and I don't remember who bought it. Google Drive, Google Finance, Huffington Post, and so on. Under educational websites, you get, and we're going to talk about some of these. I'm going to show you some screenshots of some of these: Coursera, Goodreads, Lynda Com, and then there's Computer and Internet 101 courses, and then some older adult websites, and not those kind of adult websites. Grand Magazine, Senior Planet, and Stitch. These are magazines for seniors. So a lot of great information on Tech Boomers, and he updates and he creates new ones almost every week. Another good website if you want to learn about things is Coursera. You can join for free, but Coursera runs about $29 to $99 a course. These are very professionally done courses on, now I've got some things up here showing data science and so on, but you've got computer science, you've got personal development, physical science and engineering, so you've got a lot of things not just computer related. Good courses, good quality courses. Another really good website for courses is Udemy. Here are some topics for programming, development, software testing, data, but again, it's not just technical. I happen to pick on some of these, but these are free courses on Adobe Illustrator, learning Ruby on Rails, becoming an Android developer from scratch. So, and these are free courses online that you can take. And then Photoshop for web design beginners, a Udemy student guide, some HTML, but it's not just those. And then this is typical how they describe it, what it includes, some information about it. So before you even take the course, before you commit to taking a course, you can see what the ratings are, how many students have enrolled in it, and who the instructor is, and some information about it. Goodreads is another good information. It's books. Meet your next book. They do have an app for Google, for Android, and for iOS, but you can also go to their website, and you can have there's mysteries and all kinds of books, and they're free. I believe they're all free. Another good resource. Have you had Abby speak for the group?
I've not had Abby speak. I haven't even seen her for about 2 years now.
Super lady. She wrote a book, and I'm going to have a picture of the book there, but is this thing on, is here. She wrote a book because she was helping her mother understand computers. Her mother's since passed just in the last couple of years, but she's had 3 or 4 updates, new additions to the book where she's added new technology to it, but she does everything in a very non-technical way to make it easy for you to understand or for you to work with somebody else for them to understand. That book makes a great gift, by the way, for people who are trying to understand computers and don't want to ask a lot of questions, but they don't mind browsing through a book. She has some for first-time visitors, and she has some really good videos, tips for navigating a website, tips for watching videos on the internet, and then she also has, this is the book, Is This Thing On? A Friendly Guide to Everything Digital for Newbies, Technophobes, and the Kicking and Screaming. She's a great lady. If you ever have a chance to get her for your group, either electronically or here, she likes to go out because she brings boxes of books and sells them, because that's how she makes her living. But she's done a couple of tours of Florida, and she's appeared at a lot of the user groups. And she's been at some of the conferences that we've done. We did one in Vegas a couple of years ago, and she spoke there as well. And this is a sample page of what she has, and she's talking about what makes a PC and a Mac so different. She's got pros and cons, makes it very plain, very simple, in very plain English, as opposed, again, not technobabble. So Abby Stokes is a good resource. Lynda Com is one of my favorites. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Lynda Com video courses. They are fantastic and extremely well done. Lynda Com was recently purchased by LinkedIn. And LinkedIn was recently purchased by Microsoft. So LinkedIn now, or I'm sorry, Lynda Com is a Microsoft product, but they don't say it. They are owned by Microsoft. But This is only a recent development, and they've been around for years. They are excellent tutorials, and they're very thorough. They're very long, very well done, and very professional. Most of them include tests and so on. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But I really like Lynda Com and their tutorials. I was trying to learn a website development course, development program called Drupal, and they had some great courses and really helped me understand how to put a Drupal website together. So, Doc.
We did have a Lynda login for 1 year, going back 7 or 8 years ago, and something got lost in translation because we thought we could get them for like $100 a year, which we would have paid. But when the second year came around, they wanted much more money. Okay, so I did some checking for us. The Clearwater Main Branch Library in our area has a Lynda license. You can go there and get a library card from them, and then log in through them and use Lynda for free.
And I checked. Sarasota and Manatee County do not offer it, but where I moved from, Seminole and Orange County, or the Orlando area, and then the county just north of them, now have it. Of course, as soon as I moved away, then they offered it. So I'm out to lunch. I can't get it. I tried calling one of the universities that has campus in Sarasota. They said they offered it a couple of years ago. It was very expensive, and they didn't have a lot of use, and they cut it out. I contacted the librarian there. They said it's quite expensive. I understand it is. It's like $4,500 a year for a very small library, but a normal library, it's even a lot more expensive because they kind of keep track. Because you don't just download them, you download them and then they go away after 2 weeks or 30 days or something like that. So you're not saving them for the rest of your life. This is what, if you wanted to get it yourself, it's $19.99 a month, and their premium is $29.99. The difference is, one, you can project, there's project files to practice what you learn, and there's offline viewing to learn on the go in the more expensive one. But you can, I believe there's a 30-day free trial. You can try it, and then you can end the subscription at any time. There's no contract, but it is quite costly unless you're using it. It can be very expensive. But Clearwater Main Library, you can access it, contact them, or the Lynda.com is now available through St. Petersburg library system as well. So, as I said, I was doing some research and found these two were available in this area for you. Worth trying it. It doesn't cost you anything as long as you've got a library card. Take a look at some of their courses. It's well worth a question.
Can't you access it from where you are?
Yes. What you do, you sign in. They'll give you instructions on how you do it. But I would imagine it's something you've got to put in your library information, your probably some Lynda information. Then you either watch it direct or you download it, and then it expires after a certain amount of time. But you only have it for so long, and I'm not sure how you return it because I don't live in a place where I'm lucky enough to try it. So.
Well, I have library books on Google, and we get them for 2 weeks, and then the 2 weeks mark to the exact, you download it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 weeks later at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it leaves.
Okay, for those of you who are at home, what happens to it? It just leaves. It's gone.
It's taken away from you.
Okay. What you're saying is she uses a Kindle through the library, and at the end of the 2-week period, it just disappears from her computer. The Pinellas Public Library Cooperative has a lot of information and a lot of resources. If you're not using it and don't have a card, I believe the cards are free.
If you're in certain cities,
Yeah, you got to,
Bel Air, you
if,
can't get a library card.
I'm sorry?
In the town, the city of Bel Air, the postal, you can't get a library card for free.
Okay, and most likely it is, and I'm guessing because in the Orlando area, Winter Park is a city by itself, and I believe they have their own library, and Maitland has their own library. They're not part of the county library system, so the county library doesn't allow you, if you live in that city, you have to use that library card. You can't use the county one to do it. So you need to check and see if you're in the right area, but you want to check and see.
In Bel Air, you can't even get a library card.
Okay.
For the Pinellas Library.
That's because they don't contribute to the cooperative, probably.
Yes.
Okay, here are some of the resources. Now, I've got another page of this, so with just the Pinellas, because this is Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas County, but there's a Pinellas County. There's Lynda Com. It's a privately held online education company. It's not privately held anymore. Microsoft owns them. Offering thousands of video courses in software, creative, and business skills, and it's available through the Clearwater Library resources. Overdrive. Doc was talking about Overdrive to me. It's ebooks, audiobooks, and movies. And again, you can download those for a certain period of time. Doesn't cost you anything for them. Pronunciator is an online language learning service that covers 80 languages, including English as a second language. And then Zinio is the world's largest newsstand. I've used Zinio before, and that's a magazine reader. And I wish we had that too, because in my area, because a lot of magazines are available through Zinio, and you can get them free, so you can get the whole magazine. In my area, I can search for articles, and if they happen to have that article, I can read the article. But this is where you're actually thumbing page by page, just like you've got the magazine in front of you. If you've ever seen Zinio, it's really neat, and I think you can print pages. I know from the Zinio program you can. I think through this service you're going to be able to as well. So if there was a certain article, you can't capture it but, unless you did a screen capture, but you can print it out so you can have it. So those are some sources that are available to you in this area in all kinds of topics and all kinds of things. Just think of any magazine, just about any magazine in print, you don't have to subscribe to. You can download it and read it each month. Another really good website, if you're a Windows person, is Paul Thurrott. Paul, in fact, on the way to this meeting tonight, on the way up, I was listening to This Week in Windows, which is part of the TWIT.TV website, which is the Week in Technology, is the Week in Windows. They do a weekly podcast about 2 hours long. He and Mary Jo Foley, he does the consumer end and she does the enterprise end, the big end, and they discuss a lot of things going on with Windows and updates and fixes, and they complain about Microsoft, and they talk good things about Microsoft, and they talk about how to do things and what's coming and so on. But he's also written an unofficial manual for Windows, and before that DOS, over the years. But now he's doing it with something called the Windows 10 Field Guide, and he self-publishes it electronically. And you can download it either as a PDF or as a pub file, and he updates it. The latest update was in May, and I've had it now for a couple of years, and every so many months they update it with new information and add information. And you can purchase it. This is it's a dark picture, but that's the cover, and it's 500 pages long, I believe, and you can search it. But it sells. It says make a whatever you can afford, but they suggest I think it's $12.99, $13. But I think I gave them $9.99 and accepted it. So I paid $10 for it. And as I said, I get emails every once in a while. There's an update to it. I download the latest update. Excellent Windows 10 manual to have in your collection. If you have an iPad or an iPhone or an Android, put it out there so you can reference using it anytime wherever you are. And that's what I had an iPad, or I have an iPad, and in iBooks I put all of these kind of manuals in there. But so I've gotten to the point now that either on the Microsoft Cloud, the Google Cloud, Dropbox, wherever, I keep copies of all of these manuals so I can look at them wherever I am with whatever piece of equipment I'm on. I even have the manual to my watch. I don't wear it just for a couple of times I need it, and it's one of these electronic ones. Well, twice a year I need to look at that manual when we change the time. I don't remember which. There's 3 buttons on it. There's a combination of 2 of them is what changes, gets you into the setup, and I can never remember that. So I have a copy of that manual, and I refer to it every 6 months to when the change of time is. So these pieces of equipment that we carry around, they're not just for Facebook. YouTube. If you don't use YouTube, you don't use a computer, and you don't use technology. Everything is on YouTube. Let's take a tour. Okay, I have a bunch. I have Doc, I think, posted a link to the Huey P. But all of the CFCS ones that I do are on CFCS's channel. All the APCUG ones are on the APUG site. So I'm going to show you a page where I list them all. So I got them all over the place, but I got a bunch up there. And some of them have been played quite a bit. I'm not into the thousands yet, but I'd like to be. Let's see, I went the wrong way here. Okay, let's take a look here. Hang a picture on the wall. I just did a couple quick searches to see. And what it says up here is there's 58,500 results. If you can't find out how to hang a picture on a wall by watching a video, you got 58,000 plus times to try to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe it's easier and it just everybody wants to do a video on. How to remove a broken light bulb. There's all kinds of different ways you can do that. Well, you know what? There's 29,000 or 39,000 results if you do a search on that, of videos that people have done on how they think you can remove a broken light bulb. My favorite one is the potato. But there's all kinds of different ways to do that.
Potato solution's been around for a long time.
I'm sorry? Yep, probably. We have a Chihuahua, and it licks people. And we said, why is it doing that? Well, you know what? There are 2,240 videos giving you a reason why they do it. Back many, many years ago, let's see, is this the one? No, it's before I get to that one. We put up a bird feeder in our yard. The birds love it. So do the squirrels.
Yeah.
How to keep squirrels off the bird feeder. There are 7,440 results.
And it's been proven that none of them work.
I have tried 7,300 of them, and none of them have worked. Yeah, but you can keep them off. There are ways to keep them off, but the birds won't go there either. We even got one of these things, plastic thing over it, and I put a slinky up the post so it can't climb the post because it gets on the slinky, and then that slinky brings it down. There was all kind. I bought some stuff, and none of it worked. None of it worked. we park one of the tricycles not too far from it. It jumps from that tricycle right on, knocks half the seat off, and the rest of it sits there and eats it.
So, Huey, how does it feel being outsmarted by a squirrel?
I want to wring its little neck. They're so cute, and yet you hate them so much. Back when I was a youngster, right out of college, and then again when I moved to Florida, my favorite car was a Triumph Tr3, 1958-59 vintage. I said, oh, there can't be anything about it. But so let's try to do a search there. How to fix one. Well, you know what? There's 1,890 videos on how to fix a Triumph Tr3 on YouTube. Now, if you have a problem on any kind of plumbing, how to fix a window, how to do anything that you want to search YouTube before you do anything, you'll find a video. They may not be too watchable. It might be a 12-year-old kid that has a problem speaking, a thick accent. You may not be able to handle what he talks about. You may get some really strange stuff way off the wall, but you're going to find the answer to your question most likely on YouTube. If you're not using YouTube as a resource for anything, you're missing out on a lot of things. An interesting website with a lot of mind, what's the word I want, to keep your mind going and get excited about things is TED.com. Their videos are great. The speakers are excellent. They're all experts, and they're very well done. Take a look. The subjects are very vast, a lot of personality things, a lot of getting along in life, and just some interesting things about the world. Worth your time looking at some of the videos. You can end up spending a lot of time looking at some of those videos because they are really well done and very good. There's another website called reference.com when you want to get answers about things. By the way, I have a list of all the links to all of these things. If you're writing them down, when you download the list, they'll all be there. Reference.com, a good source, all kinds of information. Again, not related to computers. There might be some computer stuff there, but just general information on life and things you would go to a reference library and in the library, or you'd go to a reference book, or when once a year you'd get the World Almanac and start thumbing through stuff. This is reference.com. WebMD, if you want to find out about an ailment you either have, you think you have, you want to get rid of, somebody else has, or you want to make up something, or if you're one, if you read about it, you're going to get it. This is a good website to do that. Lots of information about medical stuff. There's a lot of Q&A, a lot of questions and answers, a lot of really good information. Good resource. You could do a whole session on it, Doc, just on WebMD. Okay, what about schools online? I'm going to show you quite a bit. I'm going to talk quite a bit about colleges and things online. If you want to, Stanford Online is one. Anybody can go and you can take courses. Most of the courses are free at a lot of these universities. There's another one called Future Learn with online courses. And you can see here, and I don't know if you can read them, myths, archaeological stuff, business analytics, childhood and the digital age, and they talk about more. That's not a price there. Khanacadem, another website with classes all kinds of classes for free, for everyone, forever is what they say. Khanacadem.org. Excellent. These are some of the subjects: math by subject, math by grade, science and engineering, computing, art and humanities, economics and finance, and test prep. If you are sitting there playing solitaire, look what you're missing. We used to go as kids to the library in this great big building with all this information, and now it's sitting on your desk or in your hand. It's amazing what's out there and free. The Great Courses Plus, learn everything about anything. And they have plans at $14.99 a month. So you can look at some of these. Some of them have, there's fees for them. But if they have what you want, for $15 a month for a couple of months, you might get some courses that you might not find somewhere else. So it's worth taking a look at these different plans and different websites to see what categories they have and what materials they have available. Here's some of the things that they have alphabetically. You probably can't read them, but there's algebra, there's art, all kinds of art things, there's language, and so on. So they have anything you want is available inexpensively, if not free. And here's some of the topics: history of India, extreme weather, how to program, the entrepreneur's toolkit. Another website that I really like, and I grab a lot of their material and I put it in my Evernote concerning computers and how to do things and so on. It's called Lifehacker, and they have some really neat stuff. And they send out if you're on Facebook, you can subscribe to them, and you'll see it things posted there. And I think they also send out a newsletter. So if you like to get email, you get email from them when they post a new article. Sometimes they talk about an older article they put up there, but they have some really interesting articles. Not all of them computer related, just life related too. And it's called Lifehacker. Meetup. How many here have ever been to a meetup? The meetup page first. Have any of you ever gone to a meetup? What a meetup is what we're having here, but it's what the kids call it, what I call kids, the millennials and the younger people. And Doc and I both go to a lot of these meetups. And what's fun is we don't end up with a lot of old folks. We get to see people as passionate about the technology as we are, but they're 20, 25, 30. And it's really a lot of fun. Excuse me. It's interesting. You get to meet some really cool people. And you get to talk about things that you might not talk about here, but still is about technology. You may learn some things because these people are using Uber, they're using Lyft, they're using Airbnb to go on vacations, and they're using all of these things as part of their lives, as opposed to us. We've got to learn about it first. Them, it's second nature to them. It's part of their lives. Some of them are even in the business. And they're sitting there, and while they're talking to you, they're corresponding with people, and they're doing all the things all at once, all with technology, and then they have these meetups. And the meetups aren't whatever topic you want. I happen to pick out just a few things, but, watercolor techniques. These are some in this area this past week. And sometimes they'll say one going. Well, people don't always say they're going to go to it when they read it online. I've been to some of these where there's been as many people as we have in this room and only 3 answered online. So what you might want to do is either call somebody or leave a note. How many people do you normally get? Or just go to it. Most of them are free. They don't have any kind of a organization. They don't have bylaws, and they don't have dues. And when you go there, it's usually at a restaurant. And you sit there, you're going to have a beer, you're going to have a soda, you can order some food, you can just stand around and drink a glass of water, or it might be usually in a restaurant or a bar, but you're in a group in a small area. Sometimes it's in a meeting room, sometimes it isn't. I belong to a meetup group for WordPress website developers in Sarasota, and they have one that's in somebody's office, and then they have one in a coworker place, and people usually bring in some pizza and some sodas and some beers, and they sit around and just chat. And sometimes it's organized, sometimes somebody does a short presentation, and then the rest of the time you go around the room and you say what kind of problem you're having, you're helping each other, and so on. I've gone to some others that aren't related to computers at all, and it's just nice people with a similar interest as you, and it's a nice way to meet and talk about things. Doc.
I just want to mention that this is funded by the people that create the meetup. They're the ones that pay the money for it, okay? So our group pays $93 every 6 months to host 3 meetups, all right? The people that come to the meetup, it's free for them. So, and so if you go to meetup and you go online with them, one of the cool things about it is it will search and it'll let you know all the meetups that are happening within, I think it's a 25-mile radius.
You can set it for whatever you want. I've got this one set at 25 miles from Clearwater. You can set it at 50. You can set it at 10.
That's true, but I think by default it's
Yeah.
located at 25. But what's nice is you can literally go down through the list and see what's near you. So that's a strong advantage, to quickly pick out something that you want. They have meetups on everything.
Absolutely. And in every area, it's different.
Yeah.
So if you go to a different area and you want to just get out and talk to some people and meet some people, you can just look up the meetups in that area and see what's going on. See, if you're interested in photography and you're in Olean, New York, you can look up and see if there's a photography group while you're in Olean that's got a meetup, and you get together and they can tell you some good places to go to take pictures and so on while you're there. Lifelong learning is also formalized in a lot of areas. In Orlando, there's the Learning Institute for Elders at the University of Central Florida, LIFE, or LIFE. That picture that I showed you at the beginning of me in front of a group that I spoke to, I was a member of that group, and I spoke to it. You'll see here, that room, they have 400 members, and the reason they have 400 members, they have to limit it to 400 members because that's all they can fit in the room. And they have it every Tuesday morning. They have 2 classes, and somebody usually from the university or from the community comes in and speaks for each one. Sometimes it's on Shakespeare, sometimes it's on biology, sometimes the music department, they've got some woodwinds and they have the instruments, and they'll have some students there, they'll play, and they'll talk and discuss the different instruments and how they're used. And so they have all kinds of things. The lifelong learning in other areas is set up different. Whoops. And where to find them, here's some list of some places where you can find these kind of things. Continuing education or the adult education from some schools, parks and recreation, but one of the big ones is the Bernard Osher Foundation, and it's called the Osher Life Learning Institute, which is known as OLLI. And the OLLIs, and there's a list of some of the schools there. There's a list of probably most of the institutes right now, and a couple of them are local, and the UCF or the USF one is the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, or OLLI, at the University of South Florida. And I'm not sure how they work it here in Orlando. We paid, I think it was $125 or $150 a year for it. We got a school parking ticket, So we could park as a student for anything that we went to. We were considered a student of the school, so we had access to all of the sporting events free. Most of the plays and musical entertainment and concerts and so on were part of that. The parking itself was worth the price to go to any of these. You had to pay normally parking, but it was a student parking pass that said Life on it, and so you could almost all of the events that you went to, you could use it for. And I'm sure they have something similar to that here. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah.
And they have a meeting room in Harbor, and then they perform where they have classes in different areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the Ollies, what they do is they have different classes, and you get a schedule, and you can pick which classes you want to go to. And I know in Sarasota and Manatee County, they've combined several groups. It's not an Ollie group, but several schools have combined, and you get a list, and then you can go to any of the schools in any of them. But you were considered a student, and so you get a lot of benefits that way. So you might want to, if you check into the Ollie, find out what they include, or go to their website and see. The Senior Learning Network is another, and they have schedules, and I think some of these are online. I didn't mean to go past that because I think I've got some more on Ollie, and I'm not sure. Let's go back. I don't want to cut this one short because this is a really good group. Again, it's not free, and there are, I think for each course you've got to pay for it, but there's a lot of really good classes. Plus, it's people in our age group from this area. The senior group, Senior Learning Network, has different classes at different times. I believe these are online. SeniorNet is a national group. The SeniorNet group in Orlando spun off, and they call themselves Senior Now, but they have classes that you can pay for, but they're beginner classes, and they have volunteers. They do it in one of the senior centers, and you pay, I think it's $10 a class or something like that. And they have a teacher who's a volunteer, and then they have 3 or 4 helpers that help you one-on-one if you have issues, or if you bring somebody who has a problem, they have somebody there to help them one-on-one. This is a list of all of the senior nets around the country. And another resource for information are your senior centers. Most of them offer some kind of computer education, some kind of oil and painting, watercolor, aerobics, crafts and quilting, book discussion groups. The Winter Springs, where I lived in the Orlando area, they even had an indoor pool that they did water aerobics. It was, the whole pool was for water aerobics. You could stand up in the entire pool. They had it just for that. And then they had trips and luncheons and so on. And so different senior centers have different activities. The Florida Department of Elder Affairs has a lot of information. And just to sum it up, I did go to their, enlarge this part of the page. Their senior centers, and again, a lot of the things I just talked about. Here are the senior centers in this area. Pinellas County. Again, in every county in Florida, I think there are senior centers. Each one offers different things. Some are free, some aren't. Depends upon what community they're in, who sponsors them, who pays for it, and so on. But it's worth, a lot of them have arts and craft classes. They'll have, some of them have computer classes. Some need teachers for computer classes. Some don't. Some have people that go there and don't know about computers, and there's nobody there to teach a class that if they knew about this group, they could refer them to you. So there's a lot of hand-holding there, as well as you can, if you go to those senior centers and they don't have computer classes, you can recommend, or even if they do, you can recommend this group to them and bring some literature so they can pass it out as well. The Lifelong Learning Academy, oh, this is in the Sarasota group, was just some information that I wanted to add in here. And I've got some slides with a lot of writing and reading in here, and I'm not going to go through them a lot. Basically, there are classes for seniors, literally classes where you go to. And they're typically a few weeks instead of an entire semester, but in some places they're regular classes. There's also, it also mentions the OLLI here. Many well-known universities, you can audit select courses online, which is what I showed some of you on those. But also seniors in North Carolina can take public university courses in person, online, or through correspondence. And but what you've got to remember when you take these kind of courses, I'm going to talk about it here locally here in a minute, sometimes it's free tuition, but watch out for some fees. Some things about, sometimes you have to buy the books. Sometimes you have to pay for parking. And parking can be very hard to find in some of these schools. There's a lot of kids that have cars, and they have a lot of kids on campus or commute. Many traditional courses also have online components, so you'll need a computer and internet access. So senior citizens can go to college for free or cheap in all 50 states. So for those of you who are snowbirds or you know snowbirds, there is actually a page, and again, I've got links to all of these things. Find your state tuition waivers for each state and what it is. Senior learning at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Some information about it. Here's what they have. You can join others, take courses. There's also some lab nights and hotspot lectures and so on that you can participate in. Oregon residents 65 and older may audit most of the Portland State regular classes on a space available basis. You can receive other benefits, including free use of the library, computer access, internet account, and an email address. A number of colleges allow seniors, that means seniors us, not seniors in college, to audit classes at no charge and offer hefty tuition discounts for classes taken for credit. Audit means you sit in the class, you don't have to take the test, and you don't get credit for it, but you can take the course, you buy the textbook, and you do the assignments and so on. You just aren't getting credit for it. It doesn't cost you anything. Interested in film, you can take a History of American Film seminar at UCLA, and there's a link to it. That's what you can't read there. Maybe you're hooked on public affairs. How about a race, inequality, and public policy, also at UCLA, or if you're in Southern Florida, you can choose a 10-week course in international relations at FSU's St. Petersburg campus using tuition waivers for Florida seniors, and that's what's here, and there's a link to it on the page, and that's this page, seniorplanet.org. And again, there's all kinds of information available about classes. I think I've got tuition waivers for Florida seniors. The University of South Florida, St. Petersburg, welcomes Florida residents who are 60 years or older to discover course enrollment opportunities in lifelong learning. Learn more about senior tuition waivers and course auditing at USFSP, and it's actually a document. I've got the link to it. It's a PDF. It's about 6 pages, and you fill out the form and send it in, and you can. Absolutely. And it's great because you're around a lot of young people. It keeps you young. It keeps you challenged. And it's just interesting to watch how they're interacting and and how life has changed since we were that age, and yet how it's the same. And you can put yourself in that position. It's really interesting. Another thing for lifelong learning, Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group that I run, and of course the TBCS, or now the TBTC. And so both of these are very good resources. And APCUG, the Association of PC User Groups, I'm a former vice president and a member of the board of directors, and I help put on their conferences, online conferences, and talked at their conferences and so on. They maintain a list of user groups all over the country. And so if you're traveling, you want to find out if there's a computer user group in that area. If you're a snowbird, you might want to check and see. I've done these kind of sessions I do remotely. I've done it for Rochester, New York. I've done it for groups in California. I've done it for groups in other areas of Florida, as well as other places around the country as well. APCUG has a web page, lots of good information there. And like I mentioned, they do a quarterly online conference. And what it is, it's 1 hour sessions, usually 3 of them. There's usually 2 tracks. So there's 6 classes you can go to. You can pick and choose the topics you want. They give you a sign-in. You sign in and you watch it online, and you're done with it. And it's usually, most of them are computer related, but there are things that you would not have an expert from California have the opportunity to hear them talk about that particular topic. And you can go back, and all of them are recorded. If you go to their website, all of their, almost every one of the conferences they've recorded, and they have up on YouTube, so you can watch those as well. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's and that's probably done by Jerry Minnick, who is the Florida advisor, and he posts a lot of tech trips. He's very good too. What she mentioned was she's attended a couple, for people at home, she's attended a couple of those, and one was on cleaning up your computer, and the other was on home automation and so on. So there's various topics. My website, I blog, so I frequently write articles about cutting the cord, different things about computers. I tend to post more in Facebook than I do on here. It's just because I just run out of time. But I do like to post there. And then, as I mentioned, the Windows Special Interest Group meetings are all there, including recordings. And that's on the same website at huey.net. Then also every one of the videos and tutorials that I've done, I've got a complete list of them with links on my website under videos and tutorials. And you're welcome to look at any of those, share them with your friends. You can download them and watch them on your own time if you want. I also put how long they are. Some of them are fairly long, but there's a lot of information in them. And then in the SIG meeting notes, I list all of the articles in which I get my materials. So under each month, there's a list of articles that I went out and gathered information. And all of that is there as well. So there's a wealth of information and help that you can use for meetings, or you can just use to help yourself. I'm also starting, as I mentioned, a special online special interest group that I'm going to open up to the world. I've already done the website. It's now available. It's cb4s.net. This is the website. I'm blogging. I'm also listing all kinds of articles and take a look at that website. Again, this slideshow is available at bit.ly/TBTC-July. You can't really see it on this screen, but those are in blue. Those are links. I didn't make these links, so they're in white. There's more links used, even more links used, and then my websites and those articles. And do you have any questions or comments?
Is that all?
If you're bored, you don't have an excuse anymore. Let me go.